Welcome back to another Playful Humans podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague. You can find us at playfulhumans.com. My guest this week is a longtime friend of mine. I think we go all the way back to kindergarten. Sara Walkenbach from Freckle Faced Foodie. And frecklefacedfoodie.com is the website there. Healthy food for a happy belly. Sara can cook, and she can make really cool recipes that taste good and are healthier than certainly packaged food or anything else you would find at the store, but also just really fun recipes, all new for the seasons and stuff. So we're going to learn more about that here on the Playful Humans podcast. Here we go. All right, Sara, the episode this week is brought to you by the all-new almond diet. It's just nuts.
Okay.
Okay. The official joke of the week. I found some food ones for you today. I can't say they're good, but did you know that dogs can't operate MRI machines, but cats can?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. Do you have any jokes for us?
I do. What do you call an exploding monkey?
No idea.
A baboon.
Ba-boom! There we go.
Ba-boom.
You nailed it. That'll get us started. I think I was right. Did you start St. Teresa in kindergarten with me? We'll start there. Did you have Mrs. McNerney in kindergarten?
I did not have Mrs. McNerney. I was in the other class, and man, I didn't realize you were going this far. Otherwise, I would have looked up who my kindergarten teacher is. I can't even think about that right now.
Not expected to remember. I don't remember them all. So we went to school at least for, I think, 11 years together. That's a long time. And we had a lot of fun along the way. I don't think you were cooking back then, or at least I didn't know about it. So when did you start? I heard after school and stuff that you were working and baking cakes and decorating and doing all kinds of cool things with food. So how did this come about?
Well, my first job as a 15-year-old, I worked in a bakery deli. So I did everything from slicing the nasty pressed ham on the old slicers, back when 15-year-olds could operate those things. And then making, operating the ovens and, breaking out frozen breads and proofing them and baking them off. So that's how, that's pretty much when it all started, but I always like to play around in the kitchen, make cakes here and there. I remember my best friend growing up, I remember making a half birthday cake, like for the half birthday with her. So that was fun.
Just half the cake too?
No, the full cake. It was the half birthday.
Full cake for a half birthday. Good. I like that. And then when did this healthy food cake? I'm assuming like all of us as we got older, you're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't stick to cakes all the time.
Right. Well, it's such a challenge. I think, once you kind of hit middle age, which is where we're at, you just can't eat like you used to. And I love all the food. I love the butter, the cheese, the beer, all of that. And I also like fitting in my clothing. So I try to stay active, but also it's the kitchen. You have to eat healthy to stay fit. So I just try to take recipes that I love and make them a little healthier, but still use healthy fats or cheeses and full flavor things, but just not, maybe I'm not frying things, I'll air fry them or, bake them or use less oil. But it's more of adding more herbs and vinegars. There's a vinegar that I love that's 18 years aged, and it's so good. It's I use it almost every day. So.
Well, that's amazing. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. And I guess we can just dive deep into it. We'll circle back on the career and how you get to do this for a living and stuff. But let's talk about the healthy recipes. Do you have any rules? I don't think you do about gluten or ingredients or anything? Because I noticed like you do cocktail recipes and everything, and they really look delicious, which I think is really unique in your space, that it's not a particular diet or anything, but you can have really good foods that are maybe just made with healthier ingredients or not as bad for you as other things, which I think sounds to me a lot more doable than like, I can't have a carb for the rest of my life.
Right. I wouldn't be able to operate like that. And I mean, I don't drink nearly like as much as I used to, I think like most of us, but I do like to have a cocktail every now and then, but I don't like overindulging and not feeling well and not being able to be successful the next day. So I have come up with a couple recipes for like different cocktail recipes, like spritzers, which is basically uh, wine or prosecco and like a seltzer water. So you're just kind of cutting your alcohol and not using like sugary mix-ins. So using more fresh fruit juice and just a little bit. And
Do you
some
have a defined philosophy for what's healthy at this point, or is it really just your feel on the ingredients that you're using and the total calories in the dish or the portion size?
right. Well, and I think the word healthy is different to everybody. I mean, like what's healthy to me um, compared to somebody who has celiacs or so who has like a heart condition is completely different. And I'm not a dietitian. I do a lot of research on my ingredients and that sort of thing. But when it comes to healthy, in my mind, what makes my body feel better is if I don't eat a lot of gluten. I mean, I still eat some, but I just try to limit it. And I do use more organic flours. I feel like organic flours help me feel better. And I don't know if that's something with the pesticides that's used on our grains here in the United States. But I just feel better if I go for organic or whole grains. And then also, not that I don't eat white sugar because I have a sweet tooth, but you won't find white sugar in any of my recipes. It's usually sweetened naturally with honey or maple syrup. And I mean, all those things have sugar in them. I mean, but it's just natural. Makes me feel better about it. And
Yeah.
I don't feel as bad. So
I think that's really I think emotionally healthy and physically healthy, the way you think about it, which I do think is special from other stuff that I've seen. I'm not a super foodie person, and I have just started getting into making a few recipes and stuff myself, but I think everybody likes seeing the food, and I'll certainly try anything anybody's made that's skilled at it.
yeah.
So the second part of this I wanted to ask you about is, obviously you have kids, and when you're making recipes for everybody, there's also a difficulty between like being a chopped champion and like making a healthy meal for your family and stuff. So what would you say your degree of difficulty is on the recipes you have on your website?
Well, that's like the
And
difficulty in
sourcing
making.
ingredients too. I think like it all mixes together for me of like, oh, okay, that looks like a really awesome recipe I found on whatever, country food magazine or whatever we're looking at. And then there's also like, I can't find any of those ingredients in the store. I don't have any of these knives or kitchen tools
Right.
and things. So how do you balance that when you're trying to come up with a recipe?
Well, um, I feel like there's like certain tools that you need in your kitchen as if you're going to eat healthy. And one, like the one that I always reach for is a zester, like a microplaner, which is something that most people might not have in their kitchen. But for me, I use it to zest lemons so you can get that freshness in a recipe. I also use it to grate Parmesan cheese because I don't know if you're aware, but packaged pre-shredded cheese is just disgusting because they add so much anti-caking and it's almost like your cheese is powdery when you get it.
Mm-hmm.
So we buy blocks of cheese and we grate it. And that's, I mean, as busy moms and dads, that's not always important to some people, but it's just one more step and we make that happen. But and I also do garlic. I mince garlic, so you don't have to like really chop up your garlic. Just do a little microplaning, and it blends into your recipe a lot easier. I'd say that's like my number one tool. If you get one of those, I mean, everybody else has cutting boards and knives and everything else, but if you have that, you don't need a
You
fancy
mentioned
air
the
fryer.
vinegar. Is there anything else you splurge on?
I mean, my cheese, I do,
Yeah.
I do spend some money on cheese. And another staple in my house is 505 green chili. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yeah.
505. It's fire. I love it. It adds so much flavor, and I mean, it's hot, but it's not like unbearably hot. And I have a lot of recipes that use it. It's just good on, I mean, anything, potatoes, salad. I use it in salad dressings or just on chicken and soups. It's just a good flavor booster.
And let's assume average skill or slightly below average skill. So maybe I'll use myself as an example here. When with the recipes on your website, Freckle Face Foodie and stuff, would you say what percentage of them, I guess, would you say is accessible to me? Like I like the protein balls and things like that. You're like, okay, that we're wadding things up in a ball. I can do this. I got this. Versus like there's some sort of, fancy plating or techniques involved that I would feel intimidated by.
Oh no, there's no reason to feel intimidated. There's one recipe that on my website that is probably more difficult than any other. So I'd say 95% of my recipes are pretty easy and anybody could make them. That one recipe is one that I did early on, and it's a goat cheese gluten-free cracker recipe. So like, I know making crackers is something that everyone's like, you can just buy those at the store, but it's always been an issue for me because I can never find a cracker that I like. So I put it on there, but it's kind of labor intensive, but everything else is easy peasy.
So I guess I have a lot of questions here that I'm unpacking, which is good. I'm glad I had you on the show, but you keep saying my recipes, which I find fascinating as well as somebody who doesn't cook that much. I'm certainly I can follow a recipe phase, but not necessarily making up my own. So it sounds like all of these you've made. Do you like find and improve on others, or you just decide that you want to make something? Where do you get the inspiration for your recipes?
Well, a lot of the recipes are flavors that I like together, or I go out to a restaurant and I really like a flavor combination, but it's definitely not healthy. So I just try to put a different spin on it, make it healthier. There are a few recipes on my website that I do give credit to the main source. Like there's a pizza chili on there that is delightful, and I think that came from Taste of Home, but I've got a link in my recipe, so you can go to the original recipe, but just making it slightly healthier, not using all the super fatty meats or using less oil or whatever. But besides that, a lot of times it's just kind of like trial and error, and I'll have an idea pop up and I'll see if it works. And a lot of times it's when
how often do the kids and husband just say like, that one's not going on the website? Or do you taste it before it gets to that point and you
they encourage me along the way, and my kids are sweet and they'll give me a thumbs up, and then I'll make it a second time and they'll be like, oh, now it's more middle of the road, Mom. But they're good
taste testers.
Yeah,
critics.
Good taste testers. Thank you. Yes.
Good. What is there a favorite recipe of your? I mean, I'm sure you have one in like each of the categories on your website. You got appetizers, main dishes, sides, desserts, brunch, snacks, and we got a ton of stuff here. But do any of them stand out as like have been gone viral that everybody's like, oh my gosh, every time we make this one, it goes on and on?
One of them is chicken spadini. That's one of my more popular ones, and that's grilled, or you can do it in the oven. And whenever you're trying to get a crispy crust in the oven, you've got to put a baking sheet and then a cookie cooling rack on top of that, so that the air gets underneath it and gets crispy all around. But chicken spadini is definitely a more favorite one. There's a lemon basil sauce that goes with that, so it's really good, and you can pair it with spaghetti, whole grain pasta, um, potatoes. Somebody had told me that they did it with potatoes or quinoa. I mean, it's pretty versatile. And then my kids love the banana breakfast cookie, and I like making
Ooh.
that for them because I can make a whole batch and then I can freeze half of it, and they still hold up in the freezer. But that way, I'm sending them off to school with a healthier option. I mean, because it's naturally sweetened. It does have chocolate chips in them, but bananas, oats, flax seeds, chia seeds, like all that, all those good grains and seeds for the bellies.
I'm in. I think you got me on the last one there. And we should tell everybody that they can just sign up for your recipes in your email newsletter for free. There's no charge or anything
Absolutely.
on this one. So you're just trying to get people to try these recipes. And,
Yes.
you know, the latest ones come out. I think we're getting into the fall season here too, which is really good. So I'm sure you have some great stuff in store here, but they can just go to the website and look up all the recipes that are on there, or sign up for the newsletter and you get this well-produced email newsletter that has all the great stuff to try for each season, which I have really been enjoying. And I'm
Oh,
mostly, I'm going to admit, I'm just passing along to my mom and sister and other people and being like, hey, this one looks really good if you want to give it a try.
next family gathering. Yeah.
I'm looking into it. Yeah.
Well, also on my website, there is a pop-up. And if you sign up for my newsletter through that pop-up, you'll get a meal plan for a week. So it has lunches and dinners. And I utilize a lot of leftovers in my life. And I feel like a lot of other families have leftovers, but they don't want to eat that exact same thing. So just repurposing it with some kind of different flair to make it better, different.
That's amazing. Well, I can really tell that this is a passion for you and stuff, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about the journey and what you're trying to build or where you see this going, because I think on this show, we talk a lot about sort of different ways that people play for a living. And it doesn't have to be a full-time income, or if you make enough to get to keep doing it, I consider that success, which is awesome. But I think there's also this misconception a lot of times with some of these things like public speakers or YouTube people or social media influencers, where they're like, if you're not Mr. Beast and you're not making $100 million or getting 100 million downloads on your videos, that you're not successful. But you've obviously kept this going for a long time. How do you see this working for yourself, and why do you keep doing it?
Well, I keep doing it because it's a creative outlet and I love making recipes. But it's also challenging because it's not my full-time gig, and because I need to provide for my family. So it's just working on I just keep what's the word, consistency. Just
Yeah.
keep being consistent with
Oh.
it, and it'll all, it'll work out. So I thought about doing more meal plans and offering like a subscription meal plan, because I know that's a big challenge for families and individuals, singles that just are trying to cook for one, or maybe empty nesters. So
Mhm.
that is something that I'd like to dive into, and I started to kind of go down that road and realize that I just don't have enough recipes yet. So I need to
Oh, well, that's
just keep
fun.
creating, and then maybe next year at this time I'll have like a better I'll be in a better space to get more recipes in line. But I do
In
have
this
that one on
space,
my
how do
website.
most people monetize it? I mean, obviously, I see a lot of cookbooks and stuff like that, or there could be subscriptions and other things. I know you look into the internet marketing and food blogger, circuit a lot. There's a lot of people in this space. What have you found that's maybe interesting in just, people wouldn't know about being a food blogger, maybe?
Well, it's not that it's a lonely place, but I mean, you do it all on your own. I mean, and I think that's, everybody faces that when they start their own business. But I mean, it's me who's making the recipes. I'm taking the pictures. I'm writing the blogs. I'm doing all the editing. It's a lot. And there's been times where I'm like, okay, this is getting to be an expensive hobby. And I think just my joy in doing it has kept me going along the way, but I would like to see it start to be lucrative. And I've also see this as kind of a retirement plan, because I am a busy bee. Like I don't like to sit. And this all got started during COVID. I feel like so many people just really started questioning their life choices during COVID.
I did. I'm here. I started this podcast and writing the book and everything during COVID and stuff too, and questioning a lot of life choices.
Yes. Well, and it's like, do I really want to do what I'm doing for the rest of my life? And if I could do anything and money didn't matter, what would I do? And it always came back to food for me. And I don't see myself working in a restaurant. I don't, I don't see that. But my sister actually suggested food blogging, and I'm like, what's that all? What are you talking about? So then when I just started researching it more, I'm like, oh, this could be fun. So that's what it started 4 years ago, pretty much this month was when I started.
There's so much I can relate to there. One is, I think you are building a library of recipes here. So consistency is key. And I see that with a lot of people that come on this show and even this podcast and stuff. My sales podcast that I do for the day job has been going for almost 9 years now and has over 700 episodes and like 3.5 million total downloads, which is great. And now to a point where we can monetize it and stuff, but that's, 8.5 years later.
Sure.
But I think some people rush it too sometimes, and they think they have to go viral or it's not taking off, and they get frustrated when maybe there's 100 views of a recipe or something, and you go, well, if 100 people showed up at your house and said, Sarah, what's your new recipe? You would be like, holy crap, they did that every week or every month. You'd be like, this is amazing. But when you're not seeing them, sometimes it throws it off. Or if you go viral too early and stuff, you're not ready either. You haven't built up those other things like the rest of books and the meal plans and stuff. So you can't take advantage of it anyway. And so there is something to be said for just the consistency and doing it because you love it. And then, like you said, building this retirement plan of, 10, 20 years from now, you're going to have this incredible self-sustaining business with passive income and all kinds of cool stuff. So I think that's important to let you and everybody else listening to this show know that it is a little bit of a long-term investment, but also something that gets better with age. And it's really hard sometimes to keep going week in and week out. And you can take breaks and pause and other things too, but keeping going is a big lesson there.
Well, and also I have an accountability partner, and that helps me tremendously. So there's been several times where I want to throw in the towel. Like, why do I keep doing this? Why, and she always helps me stay focused and like, why did you start? What's your why? Like all those questions. But I highly recommend having that piece as an account, as somebody to go to that you can, tell your troubles to, or somebody that's also in the same, atmosphere, food blogging or whatever, that you can bounce ideas off of. Or
I want to highlight something else you said there too, which is you're figuring out how to do it on your own. So you're learning how to cook, but you're also learning internet marketing and photography and, blog writing. And you always have some personality in the intros and descriptions and stuff, which is awesome. But the one I wanted to highlight for you here publicly is the photography is insane. It is really good. I think you might really have a skill in the photography because people always talk about the food porn and stuff, but they can just go to your website, Freckle Face Foodie, and scroll through the recipes and the drinks from wraps, the salads, like everything looks amazing. And I don't know how you take the photographs, let alone make the food that looks that good.
You're always your own worst critic, because I always feel like I need to get this just a little bit better, But for me, if I were to hire out anything, it would be social media. That is what I despise the most. And it's so relative and so important. And I understand, but it's also like, there's so many different avenues to go through. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I used to do TikToks, and I just can't I can't keep up with it all. Pinterest is huge for food bloggers, so I'm also on Pinterest. But it's those three are my core ones, and I mean that's something that I definitely need to be more consistent with and find that rhythm to just make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think you might be your own worst critic there, because I was going to give you one more compliment and then we'll play a game and get out of here. But the thing that I wanted to highlight for people is you don't just, after years of doing this, you have multiple skills that you've built up. You've become an incredible photographer. You could get paid or start a career just in that. You obviously have the food stuff, but you got the writing skills and internet marketing skills that I think when you play for a living, even if it's a side hustle or a hobby, like think about how much value you've added to yourself and your career, let alone your audience and stuff, just in a few short years. That's amazing. Really, really cool stuff. All right. Now, are you ready to play a game?
Let's do it.
All right, Sarah, I'm excited. It's been a while since we played a game together. And I have Survey Says. We surveyed 100 people. The top 5 answers are on the card. If you get one of the top 5 in 2 out of 3 questions, you win the game. All right.
Okay.
Name a famous Walter.
I've got a lot of famous Walters in my own family.
Or Walt. What was it?
Walter Matthau.
Walter Matthau, number 5. Walter Cronkite, Walt Disney. I don't know who Walter Pigeon is, and Walter Mondale. Are there a lot of Walter Walkenbachs?
My grandfather is a Walter Walkenbach.
Amazing. What do you do when a police car is driving right behind you?
Slow down.
Number 1 answer. There you go. Give me some applause for that one. Maybe. Okay. And then last one. Name something a woman should do if she wants to find a man to marry.
Something that a woman can do if she wants to find a man to marry? Wow, that's a sexist one.
It is. I didn't make that up, but
how about cook him a good meal?
On here too. There's definitely some horrible answers in the top 5.
I'm not going there. I'm going to go with cook him a good meal.
Oh, nice. It is the number 4 answer. Cook. You win. Clean sweep. 3 for 3. I forgot to say the other ones when the police car's behind you. Slow down, get nervous, pull over, keep going and ignore them, or drive more carefully. This one, be honest or real, authentic, be single and date, lose weight, cook, and dress nicely in the top 5 answers there. Okay. All right. Well, you win a free 30-second commercial for frecklefacedfoodie.com.
Yay.
Is there anything that you can do to help us or we can do to help you?
Well, if everybody would like to go to frecklefacedfoodie.com and give me a like on Facebook or Instagram and follow me on Pinterest, that would be great. Sign up for my newsletter.
Love it. So much fun. If you enjoyed this episode, send it to somebody that you think needs to hear it. If you want more fun, flow, and fulfillment in your life and career, go to playfulhumans.com. You can take our Play for Personality quiz at playfulhumans.com/quiz. And we have a book coming out this year as well. So make sure you pay attention, follow us, and check it out. Playful Humans book will be available on Amazon here shortly. Until next time, go play, everybody. Have a good one.
Thanks, Mike.